everyone, and welcome back. Today is gonna be my July reading wrap up, and it wasn't the best reading month. However, I was able to identify what was really keeping me in a reading slump, and I'll talk about that in another video. But I only got to read 4 books in the entire month of July, but I'm glad that I read this particular books, which I have reviews of each one of them. A couple of them I kind of mentioned why they weren't my cup of tea, so I'll refer you to those videos that will be linked down below and hopefully on the cards on top. So if you want to know more about these books, you can refer to those videos. Now, as I mentioned before, I was in this horrible reading slump where it wasn't that I wasn't inspired in reading. It was more about I would start a book, read 20 pages, DNF it, move on to a different book, read 30 pages, DNF it, and I finally figure out why. So I'll tell you about that in another video. Let's get started with the 4 books that I read in the month of July. The first one, and I don't have it here because I returned it. I got it from the library. We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver. If I'm not mistaken, I'll put the book on the screen so you can refer to it. I only gave 2 stars to that book. It was about this couple that bought this house in Oregon, in an isolated place in Oregon. They're fixing the house to flip it, and one day only Eve is at the house. There's this family of 4 that show up and say, "We used to live here and I like to show my kids, where I grew up." Eventually they get in the house, and it seems like it's getting harder and harder to get rid of them. I'm not going to tell you too much more about it. If you want to go ahead and watch that video where I talk in detail about why I didn't like that book, I'll have it linked down below. Unfortunately, it didn't work for me. I know everyone's loving it, so I feel like I'm missing something, and that's why it doesn't really make sense in my head why people love it so much. So if there's something you want to tell me, if there's something that you think I missed, please leave it in the comments, whether that be on that video or here. Now, the second book I also gave 2 stars is by Josh Malerman and is Incidents Around the House. I watched Ashley Little's library today, and she did her wrap up and said that she gave this a 2 star. That's exactly what I did, and I'm on the same boat. I don't understand what people is saying about this book, why they think is so amazing. I think it has 4 point something stars on Goodreads. I did not like it. This is the premise of a girl that is being haunted by this other mummy spirits that wants to go into her heart, and what the family does to try to protect her. The synopsis sounds amazing. However, the way that it's written should have given away why I wouldn't enjoy it. The audiobook, super creepy. The voice actor and everything is just super creepy. And I understand how some people can like it. For me, it was kind of cringy. The way that we only have one POV and what is revealed through that POV. Again, if you want to know more about it, I'll have that video linked down below. The next book I read was from Book of the Month, and I'll have a link down below if you want to know more about Book of the Month, or if you want to sign up with my link. I'll get a book for free. That's pretty much all the perks of recommending Book of the Month. But you do get some pre-releases every once in a while. This is going to be the 2nd month that I've been subscribed to Book of the Month, and I can't complain. I love having a new book that hasn't been released and kind of get my thoughts and share my review before it actually hits the shelves. This is the House of Glass by Sarah Pekkanen, and I finished this yesterday. I have a full review on it, but if you want to know what I thought about it, it was 3.75 stars. It wasn't quite a 4, but it was closer to a 4 than to a 3 star. And you know how Goodreads does this thing where you have to do whole stars. To me, it didn't actually get to a 4-star point, but it was really good. I love the writing style. I'm gonna read more books by this author. It follows the story of a family. They're going through a divorce. They have a little girl, and she saw how her nanny fell or was pushed from a window and died. Now we meet Stella. Stella Hudson is best interest attorney, where she's basically supposed to decide who this little girl is gonna end up living with. While you follow her, you realize that this girl is super creepy, that she does and says things that are just out of a scary movie, and you keep guessing what happened. Was she pushed? Did she fall? You kind of go through, the nanny's friends, this family itself, what one person says, what the next one says, the lying, and all those things that really make it into a very interesting, smart story. The only reason why I didn't give it a 4-star or above 4-star is because I couldn't connect to any of the characters. Like, they feel real. Like, I know there's people like this, like Stella, like the father, the mother, the little girl, even the grandma. I know there's people like that. I just wouldn't be friends with them, or I just wouldn't like to spend any time with them, because I feel like that's the kind of people I avoid. So it's more of a me problem why it didn't get to a 4-star or a 5-star. Again, if you want a full review, I'll have that link down below. Finally is The Last Woman in the Forest by Diane Levaquette. I'm sure I'm butchering her last name, and my friends, the Canadians, and people that know what they're doing with their lives, clearly, I'm sure, know how to pronounce it. But The Last Woman in the Forest, I have a full review. I gave this 4 stars. This was a book I found at the thrift store. I look at the cover, I thought, I want to be in this world in the middle of summer, and I wasn't disappointed. It was very smart. The story, how it tied all together, I thought it was really smart. The writing is amazing. The characters all had a purpose in this book. Nothing was a fluff, or let me fill in this with this fluffy character. Everyone had something to do with something, and in the end it all tied the story together, which is the kind of book I like. It was a slow burn, so if you like Frida McFadden or Riley Sager, let's get to the point kind of thing, this won't be for you. But as it is a slow burn, you learn all these things and you're investigating something. Now, this is a story of a conservation worker. She's going from one study to the next. They use dogs to track scat, really, and take samples, and the effects of the oil sands of the region of northern Alberta is where it starts. But it kind of shows different studies as you go through the book, and how the oil sands, the oil industry is really affecting wildlife, how the dogs is a big part of it. So you do learn a lot of things that if you're not into the wilderness, if you're not into like beautiful landscapes and the kind of thing that you see here in the cover, then it may not be for you. I felt cold at times when she was describing where she was walking, what she was doing, and how dark it gets. If you live in the north, you know that in the winter, you can lose light pretty early on in the afternoon, and I could totally relate to all these things living here in Oregon. We still see a lot of the things that shorter days will bring on you, especially when you are somewhere in the wilderness. So yes, you would have to enjoy the atmosphere, which I thought it was a big part of why I enjoyed this book so much. I have a full review. I have the link down below and probably on the top. So if you want to learn more about this and why it didn't into a 5-star book, honestly, the only thing I can tell you is that it wasn't fast-paced, and that's why it didn't make it into my 5-star review. But at the same time, it's a different writing style. It's a different kind of story. This book felt very unique, very different to every other thriller that I've read, and I think that's why, even though it was a slow burn situation, I did really enjoy it. So overall, it was a good month after I started going into this kind of rhythm of things. And now in the month of August, my next video is going to be my TBR, and I'll share with you some of the books that I'm already reading, and some I just can't really put down. So thanks for being here today, guys. I'll talk to you guys next time.